Meantime, his campaign chairman saying that he's going to modify his Muslim ban. But earlier today, Donald Trump reiterated that he wants to be tough against terrorism. So where exactly are we? Let's bring in a panel. Betsy Woodruff, Lily Gil Valletta, and Gianno Caldwell. Gianno, let me go to you because you're a young Donald Trump supporter. And I'm sure you must get into these conversations with your millennial friends who may not always be for Donald Trump. When it comes to the Muslim ban, I think that's something that resonates a lot with the millennials. And do you think it should be modified? Do you think he will modify it to the point where maybe it won't be a complete temporary ban on all Muslims?
Well, we got to think about it this way, and it does resonate with millennials because we experienced 9/11 unlike some others. But when it comes to this ban, I think that it makes sense to say that we're not going to say total Muslim ban, but what he could do is say we're going to have our State Department put a ban on those with passports from countries that support terrorism in the Middle East and otherwise. So I think that would be much more of a fair strategy, and I think that's one that Americans can definitely support and respect.
Yeah, it would be real hard to argue, coming from Syria and some of these other hard-hit places, that's with or without a passport. Betsy, where do you stand on this? Where do you see this going to modification?
It's interesting because it highlights how much of a disconnect there is between what Trump says on the stump and speaking with reporters versus what his staffers are saying. Of course, Paul Manafort, the new top dog on his campaign, was the one who suggested he was going to walk that back. Manafort has also said that Trump agrees with Paul Ryan overwhelmingly on trade questions, which is something Trump himself has not said. There's a big difference here, and I think it points to some turmoil in the Trump campaign, which is likely part of the reason they recently jettisoned a new hire, Rick Wiley, and part of a complicated month or two for them as they figure out how to change gears and get used to the fact that they actually run the show now.
Yeah, Lily, I don't want to digress too much, but there's no doubt that the new guard, if you will, Paul Manafort, the Rick Wileys of the world, you look at things like Donald Trump's unfavorables, they have changed dramatically, much more favorable for him since those old school professionals have been involved. But there's always the tug of war within the camp, from the people who were there from the very beginning. So having said that, though, this is one of the central pillars of his campaign. And a lot of people at these rallies want to see that. They want to see a temporary ban on all Muslims until we can figure it out. Where do you think it ultimately comes down?
Well, I think we're seeing the natural evolution of a campaign that started as an effort to win amongst many people and break through and go big. And now they have recognized it themselves that there's a need to fine tune. Now you need to start appealing to a broader base and start thinking about how am I going to win the American vote beyond just the conservative vote in certain states. So I think it's a natural progression, and what we've heard, to me, it makes sense. Maybe at that moment, right after an attack, you want to take an immediate step towards stopping what may be an immediate threat to your country, but then eventually figure out what the right fine-tuning is for a long-term measure that will serve us all well.
Now, who did you start out with? Who did you start out?
Kasich.
Kasich, okay. And now you're supporting and endorsing Donald Trump. Have you gone that far yet?
I don't think I am ready to, and I don't think it matters who Lily supports at this point.
No, here's the reason I'm asking is because one of the issues that he keeps getting hit on by Hillary Clinton is women, Hispanics. You saw what happened with Susana Martinez. The mainstream media, that was one of their top stories all day today, and I think it's going to be a theme that we'll see in commercials. So you're the voter that they're talking about, that if you're still undecided, something is wrong. Do they need to woo you more and against the idea? Some people say traditionally that would be pandering.
Yeah, I certainly, kind of borrowing words from Paul Ryan, I am not ready to do that kind of public endorsement because there is yet to be a concerted effort or a new message that is embracing the inclusiveness and the need for appealing to minorities, to women in new and fresh ways. So there is an opportunity absolutely to do that, and I haven't seen it yet.
Gianno, here's the thing though, Donald Trump talks about the idea of lifting an economy that creates opportunities for everyone. So that would include all of the above. Is that enough, or does there have to be a specific effort made?
Well, we do need to see some specific measures made. I think Donald Trump, especially when we're talking about the African-American community, has rightly mentioned what President Obama has not done for the African-American community, lifting numerous folks out of poverty. And we see the unemployment rate is most times double that of their white peers. But we need to see some very specific policy positions from Donald Trump when it comes to African-Americans. I think that's absolutely important. And I've been saying it on this network and others that that's something that we need to see. We need to see what he's going to do for other communities as well. I think that's very important.
All right, guys, and we will make note that you are a Donald Trump supporter. Guys, coming up, the Washington Post. Now, this is sort of man bites dog in a sense.